Okay, everyone. From what I can tell, I have sound this time. I might move this a little further back. There we go. So, hopefully that helps out with everything. I'll put it here. We'll just drag it down a little bit so I'm not blowing your eardrums out. There we go. Let's see. We're starting off because we have a freeze warning. Freeze warning in effect tonight into tomorrow morning. And let's see, I think if I come over here, this will show me my comments and stuff. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, cool. So basically, yeah, there's a freeze warning in effect for much of Michigan, actually all the areas in blue, which includes northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, northeastern Indiana, over toward Ohio and Pennsylvania. And the reason that this is not in effect further up to the north is because, well, the growing season hasn't really started there. Things aren't as in bloom as further down to the south. So just something to keep in mind there. It's going to get pretty chilly out there tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit about the forecast temperatures, see how these graphics might work out for me. And let's see if I can get this. That looks pretty good. So yeah, we'll look at temperatures, but we're also going to take a little jaunt through the Storm Prediction Center because there could be several days of severe weather headed toward the middle part of the country, and some of that might actually make its way up toward the Great Lakes as well. So again, starting off with the freeze warning that's in effect tonight, let's switch over to some forecast models, and we'll change the zoom over to Michigan, and we will go to temperature. Let's take a look at the minimum temperature here. Single image, forecast loop. Perfect. Okay, cool. So this is actually ending at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, which is tomorrow. Some areas could indeed fall all the way down into the upper 20s. And again, this is one model. This is the European model. Pretty good track record. And I can actually, wherever I scroll the mouse over, it will give me specific numbers. For example, up in Gaylord, we got like 25. Maybe some 24-degree readings over in the Asabo River Valley off to the north. And you can see, yeah, some 20s could be possibly headed our way as we go throughout tonight. We can go a little bit further here, and this will be ending Saturday morning, where we're going to have numbers just down into the 30s, so not as bad. And then it gets pretty warm after that. Again, this is just looking at minimum temperature. So after that, I'm not looking for any super ridiculous cold spells other than what we are anticipating tonight. And this is a little bit into, well, I guess that would be picking up on Friday night too. So again, tonight into Thursday morning, definitely the best possibility for very cold temperatures to be headed our way. So make sure you haven't planted anything that's too sensitive as of yet. Hopefully, if you're in Michigan, you have not done that because it's just way too early anyway. Now, the exciting news here is we are going to warm things up. And you can see the cities there with their temperatures and warming things up. So as we go into the day Friday, well, I guess we can start with Thursday, right? So Thursday, another day in the 50s, as you can see right there. Going a little further, this is ending Friday now in the evening. We're back up into the 60s, but take a look what happens into the weekend. Ooh, we get even warmer. We do have the possibility to be in the middle to upper 70s, even far up north. You know, we go up to, you know, not influenced by the water, but like Mackinac City would be 61, while just down the road in Pelson could be about 75. And same thing over on Lake Michigan. See how we're getting Muskegon? That's like, it says 68 here. That's at the airport, but right on the shoreline, looking at about 60 degrees, and inland in Grand Rapids, we're at like 77. And this makes sense, right? We got the cold waters of the Great Lakes. They keep everything cooler, especially when you have that marine layer, the marine ecosystem going on. 1 year ago at this time, well, I guess 2 weeks from now, a year ago, me and my boyfriend were camping in Muskegon. It was like 58 degrees, winds coming off the water. We drove home to Grand Rapids and it was like 82. So we can definitely get those cold lake breeze influences on parts of the state of Michigan here. But also, this is going to play an effect into our thunderstorm chance as well. We're going to have warmth and we're going to have some humidity out there. Take a look at the possible maximum temperature by the time we get into Sunday. Man, 81 degrees possible in Lansing, 80 in Flint. And again, this is possible, but this model does perform pretty well. And of course, if we have more clouds or a couple of rogue storms coming through, they will keep those numbers down a little bit for us. And let's see, it looks like I don't have any comments coming in yet, but feel free to ask questions. I'm not seeing comments yet, so we'll just keep going. If you hear chomping, that would be my dog deciding now is dinner time. This is, let's see, Monday even. We got some 70s out there still. We're going into Tuesday night right here. We're still at about 70, much cooler off to the north. And we all know warm weather like this can't last forever, so eventually it'll cool down. But now we're getting into Wednesday of next week, so a whole week from today. And look at that. We might just be hanging out in the 70s for almost the duration of this. And again, this is the European model here. We can switch over to precip and take a look at some of the storm chances. And again, this model has a more coarse resolution, which means it might not see small, intricate details of thunderstorms, but we can get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen here. The more high resolution models, since they take a lot more computer power for the higher resolution, they only go out about 36, 48 hours, some cases up to 60 hours. And let's see. So again, we got nothing coming through until overnight, Friday into Saturday. This is 5 o'clock in the morning, showing some showers and a little bit of thunderstorm activity. And then we do appear to clear out for the most part throughout the day on Saturday. So hopefully we can get out and enjoy some of this weather. But severe weather chance 1 would be coming through overnight Saturday into Sunday. And you can see some of those bigger cells trying to develop over Lake Michigan there and move over to the east. Then as we get into Sunday itself, a little more coverage there from some thunderstorms, especially the further off to the north we go. And I think this right here would be the best possibility for severe weather in the state of Michigan, at least. And that would be later on in the day on Sunday. But notice we're going to have wet weather chances for a while here as we have the warmth and humidity and multiple low pressure systems that will be going on through the country. Now, I do want to zoom out and talk about the possibility for some of this severe weather. So if you can see here, I'll scroll, or maybe I can just hit play. There we go. We got low pressure number 1 right here, moving its way on through. You got another low pressure developing right after that, and it's not moving fast, so that's going to take its time moving on through. And then a couple little areas of just minor, what we call, I guess it would be kind of almost like a ring of fire pattern. But we're going to have a high pressure off the southeast, off the coast of Florida, and that kind of swings everything around right up into potentially the state of Michigan here. So there's the low pressures coming through. Again, this is restarting, so this is going through the early part of the weekend, latter part of the weekend, and then here is where it gets interesting because we got, again, a pretty summer-like weather pattern developing. You can see this high pressure off the coast of the Carolinas and Florida over the Bahamas. So what that does is it swings warm air up into the state of Michigan, swings Gulf moisture up our way as well. And when we're kind of on the borderline of colder air still off to the north, that can cause some more storms for us as well. And there's what happens. And again, as we finish the model out, there you go. Probably going to have chances for showers and storms for quite a while, as this weather pattern could persist for just a little bit for us. Hello from Indianapolis. Flint. You know, the specific risks have not been released yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a marginal risk. But as of now, believe it or not, some of the activity could be further north of Flint. As the low pressure systems move off to the north, you can see a lot of the activity will be confined to our west and potentially the northern part of the state as we go forward in time here. So here's the the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for the middle part of the country, and this is, as you can see, for Thursday, April 25th. That would be for the day tomorrow. Go forward a day, and you have a slight to marginal risk going all the way up into parts of Wisconsin, especially for Iowa, Omaha, and the light green just means thunderstorms. Now we can go a little further out, and this is where things might get a little bit complicated. We have days 3, 4, and 5. So this is the one I just showed you from the Storm Prediction Center, and you can see there's a hatched area through the middle part of the country, indicating a pretty good possibility for some severe storms to come on through. Also for the Storm Prediction Center, we have this one, and this has been drug up a little further into northern Michigan, like the Upper Peninsula, into Wisconsin. And this one is going to be going through the day on Saturday. Then we got the day on Sunday, and you see it's pretty much the same areas all over again. Now, what I will say is this 15% risk is also equivalent to a slight risk. So the marginal could envelop part of the state of Michigan over toward maybe Omaha again, Kentucky, parts of Indiana. So we'll just have to see how that all plays out. Now, there's this other experimental model here, but I think this gives you an idea of just how much bigger the coverage could be. So again, this is for the day Friday. We're not expecting hardly anything here in Michigan. But notice as we go into Saturday, which is this one right here, well, this is indicating a little bit further off to the northeast compared to what the Storm Prediction Center was issuing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a slight risk for northern parts of the state, maybe western parts of the state. Again, none of this is scripture. This is an experimental model, but also, if you're noticing a pattern here, the middle part of the country, specifically over areas like Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, have days and days and days of severe weather chances that could possibly be coming on through. So there's a lot to watch out for in that regard. Let's see what else I can do with these models. Let's see here. We can talk about some CAPE. And this basically is showing rising motion of storms, potential energy that storms could tap into if they were to form. And notice that plume of that energy is just kind of confined into the middle part of the country. And then see how it just kind of branches off into Michigan every now and then? So definitely not going to have the best possibility compared to areas down to our south. But some of that energy with that weather pattern, like I was saying, could indeed go into the state of Michigan. So there will be some to watch out for here. And as we get closer and closer and the models get a better idea of what's going on, especially the high resolution models, that's when we can get those finite details. And that's when the outlook might expand or shift northward, things like that. But since I've been paying attention to this pattern now for the whole season since February, I am anticipating that we are going to have several days of severe weather, which is no secret now. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of the storm chasers that you might follow, Reed Timmer, they're all great follows. They are going to be having a ball, to say the least, in the middle part of the country. More traditional Tornado Alley, I guess I should say. So again, you can see a lot of that energy is confined towards the middle part of the country, and this will probably show about the same thing. There's that energy for the storms to tap into. And again, every now and then it goes northeast over the Great Lakes into the state of Michigan. This would also include Chicago. But, we've had folks asking about southern Michigan here. And I just want to show you that, a lot of this potential is indeed for the northern part of the state of Michigan. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, maybe I can't. Nope, I can. Okay, this does not look as good as when it was zoomed out further. But basically, let's go to one of those days, like into Sunday, like I was talking about. So see how it's kind of hard to tell here, but better chances are off to the north, just in terms of energy for the storms to tap into compared to down to Detroit. It's not really as much. We can switch our models around a little bit and take a look at temperatures based on a different model. So I showed you the European. This is going to be the American model. And this model is also going down into the 20s overnight tonight. So very cold weather coming our way. Hopefully all those garden centers and everyone is listening or has someone they get information from, because nothing should be outside in this, especially those little sensitive flowers I've been seeing pop up everywhere a little too early for us to buy and plant, but they're trying to make their money, I guess. So I'll switch over to maximum temperature here as we're going forward. And let's get this in better view. There we go. So by Friday, this model, which does have a tendency to go a little bit on the cold side, is taking us back into the 50s and 60s. This is also going in the 70s generally for the weekend. And then, as you can tell, we're going to stay warm for a while. So I just keep scrolling. Nothing too crazy, but 60s and 70s should be fairly common. And we can take a look at the GFS, the American Models idea of the storms. And again, we got our Friday night to Saturday morning round right there as the warm front comes through. Not a whole lot through the day itself, which is good, because at one point this was showing all day rain on Saturday. But there's the possibility for some storms into the day Sunday, especially Sunday afternoon and evening. So we'll have to watch out for that. Some of those bigger bullseyes right there. And again, maybe into Monday morning as well. So again, this is just a different model depiction of what's happening. And I apologize if it's a little hard to follow here. Keep going forward, and pretty quiet after that for a while. And now we're getting into nonsense territory, but this is looking really quiet for a long time. Really quiet. Again, you can't go too far out on these models because there's just errors and bad data, things like that. So that's why our forecasts are usually like 5 to 7 days. Emily, not a washout, just keeping an eye on a couple rounds coming through. I would say the best chance for anything would be into the day, Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then again Sunday afternoon. Just looking at comments over here on this streaming service that I'm using, so I can broadcast to everybody at once. Cool stuff. And I am on TikTok on my phone over here on the side. It's full of so many notifications. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what a diamond is. I don't know what this dartboard is. I don't know what the hearts mean. I don't know what any of this stuff means over here. Fun. All right. So again, back to the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. We got up to an enhanced risk for the center part of the nation as we go into the day tomorrow. This is obviously, as you can see, for Thursday, right? And then for Friday, that expands off to the northeast. And, this might bring a marginal risk into our area for early Saturdays. That warm front comes through. And then I am just anticipating, though, a lot of the activity will be further back over to the north and the west. And again, a lot of these experimental products are showing kind of the difference between just this like severe weather probability forecast. And this is based off the GEFS, which is the Global Ensemble Forecasting System. And, it lines up pretty well. You got SPC over here, Ensemble Aggregate over here, and lining up pretty well. But this just kind of shows you how it might expand, I guess I should say. Potentially. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised, especially if the northern part of the state of Michigan, once we get into the day Saturday, maybe a little bit into Sunday too, has a chance for severe weather for that area from the Storm Prediction Center to be expanded just a little bit. And there's other cool things I can show you. We do have the real-time analysis here, basically showing current temperatures as of 5 o'clock. We got some 50s over on the west side of the state, but it's cold. Lots of temperatures in the 40s. A little bit of a wind chill too, especially over in the thumb area. We got a wind chill of about 36 in Saginaw right now, 38 in Detroit. It is definitely chilly out today for sure. And dew points, obviously there's no dew point, but that does remind me that I did want to show you the dew point because there will be humidity coming in with this warmth. So let's take a look at that. Forecast loop. I'm still on dew point. Awesome. This is the European model. And I hope everyone can see the labels of the cities okay. That's why I opted for this service. It is so nice. And yes, this is Pivotal Weather. I do pay for it, so I can use it on broadcasting without issues. I paid them for the service, just in case anyone's wondering. I know some people like to question everything. But here's how the dew points look. And again, this is extremely dry air. That's why we have everything drying out so fast. In addition to the plants are greening up and the leaves are coming out, they draw tons of moisture up from the ground. You know, like a large oak tree can draw up like 100 gallons a day from the ground. I mean, so that's why we've went from squishy and muddy to like not really quick. Okay, so you see the green coming in? That's the humidity. Wow, right? Yeah, that's the humidity coming on through. We got really nice contours here. So when you start to see this blue color, that means humid, especially since we're just getting into it for the season. You're going to notice it a lot more than you would in like July and August because we haven't felt it hardly at all this season, aside from like 2 days. So this is Saturday afternoon. Dew points are in the 60s. Look how they just hang out. This means we got some really warm overnight temperatures coming our way as well. Really warm, like 60s. Because if you didn't know this, the air temperature cannot go below the dew point. It's like a rule. And that's when you get the dew, right? That's why it's called dew point. So when the air cools down to the 60s, you'll get dew at 62 degrees. So if we have a low of 65 in Saginaw, you're going to see dew on your grass. And you're going to have that like fog on your car windshield and stuff like that. So again, dew point. Now, notice how we keep it in the 60s. This is getting into Monday night before we finally start to get a drier cold front coming through. And look at that. It just starts to creep back in slowly but surely. Now I'm curious what it looks like elsewhere across the country. So let's go to more of a regional look. That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay, so here's more of a regional look. And I don't know if anyone's watching from Omaha, but I'll give you a shout out here in a minute. So look at all this dry air, dry air, dry air, and there's the humidity surging on through right into the state of Michigan. So notice how this lines up with that severe weather outlook pretty well, right? Can you guess what one of the ingredients is that we need during storms? Moisture. And there's going to be a lot of it. We'll pan TikTok over here for Omaha, which is right there. A little on the drier side. A lot of the humidity will be further south towards Kansas City. But we'll pan on back over to the Great Lakes. And again, you can just see the humidity going right up into our area. And then there's a little cold front finally coming through, knocks it down a notch, but we still get these waves of pretty humid conditions. When you start to see this purple, by the way, that's greater than 70, that's like soup. When you have a dew point over 70, it's like tropical. And you know, this is a lot of moisture for it's still being April into early May. A lot of dew point activity going on here. Thought I clicked on that. There we go. Okay, so well, I don't know if the internet's stuck. It looks like it's stuck. There we go. Put this on a loop. Again, showing the storm possibilities. This is on a loop. So now we are getting into Saturday afternoon into Sunday. Now we're getting into Monday. And then everything finally goes down to the south and east. But there's a couple more clusters that could develop, as you see there. And again, none of this is scripture. Don't take this literally. This is just a model showing you what it thinks might happen. That's it. Now it has restarted, and we'll just stop as it gets a little bit closer. So this is the warm front coming through. This is Saturday afternoon, so looking pretty quiet for all of you asking about those Saturday afternoon plans. Notice maybe a pop-up shower possible, but not a huge washout. This is getting toward 8 p.m. now. On Saturday, we got some storms firing off to the west and again off to the north, which is where we saw that possibility would be better than down to the southeast. Then we got our second low pressure gearing up to come in. And notice some of these might be pretty persistent, so we could have some pretty heavy rainfall across parts of the state. And now we are in Sunday afternoon right here. And I think this is the absolute best chance for anything that would be considered severe, which would be for the northern part of the state toward the Upper Peninsula and Wisconsin, not so much for the bigger cities down to the south in the state of Michigan. So we'll watch that for you as it gets a little bit closer. Then I think everybody would have a small chance at some storms overnight into Monday morning before it starts to move further down to the south and the east. Hello from Grand Blanc, Lisa. Nice to see you here. I think these comments might be a little delayed because it's saying I've only been live for a couple of minutes on the streaming service here, but it's definitely been almost a half an hour. So we'll go for a few more minutes. Again, we are just tracking the possibility for a couple of days of potential severe weather across the middle part of the country, and then that could move up into parts of the Great Lakes. I could focus on the middle part of the country here. It's not really my coverage area, but always good to see what's going on. And for this one, we could use a higher resolution model since the chances are going to start tomorrow into Friday. Take a look at this one. This is the HRRR, the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh, whatever you would like to call it. Quiet, quiet, quiet. And there's some storm possibilities starting earlier in the day tomorrow. Those shouldn't be that bad. But as that low pressure ramps up, you can see the spin is going to develop the cold front, which will set off some of those storms further down to the south. This is the NAM. This is the North America model. We'll click on through the time here, and I'll call out times so you don't have to squint and see too much here. This is that morning round tomorrow morning. There's the round tomorrow afternoon. This has got a vigorous little low pressure going right through Omaha with some thunderstorm potential. And that is Friday afternoon. Probably small little chance for severe weather up there with that. Okay, so that didn't go out as far as I wanted it to. But we can go back over to the European model. Again, here's some of those storm chances. This right here is what the European model thinks is going to be happening by Thursday morning, tomorrow morning. And now we're into Thursday afternoon into Friday. And see how it just kind of keeps developing in the same areas. Now we're into Saturday. More severe storm potential. Now we're into Sunday. More severe storm potential. And I am thinking also, you guys, that there's going to be a lot of very heavy rain. We're probably going to see flash flooding in some of these communities. Center of the nation probably could have some flooding in the state of Michigan, too. Let's take a look here and just see what the European is suggesting for some rainfall totals. And again, this is over Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. We're going up to like 4 inches, it says there, if we get some of those heavier storms. As you keep going out, we keep getting storm after storm after storm after storm. Some of these areas could potentially see up to 6 inches of rain, if not a little bit more. And we can go to the WPC and pull up excessive rain outlook. We got a marginal, we got a slight risk of excessive rainfall, marginal to slight, marginal to slight, and this is days and days and days. I mean, that's a lot of potential rain coming on down. And even here from the WPC, which is the Weather Prediction Center, some of these are pretty high. You know, this is going 5 to 7 inches, which is not far away from what that European model was saying. And notice how some of the heavier rain goes right into northern Michigan. Now, when you start getting into the purples up here, that's the possibility of 1.5 inches or more. So it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you get that from a storm like all at once, obviously that can cause some issues. So we can flip back over to the model here. Let's go back into the state of Michigan and get some rainfall potential here for you all. rotate TikTok. There we go. Again, thanks for bearing with me, everyone. Got the mic going. There's sound today, unlike last night. So this is as we get into Saturday evening right here. Some of us in the state of Michigan could pick up 1/2 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch. Northern Michigan, there's significantly less, as you can see there. But don't worry, that'll change because remember, the storms could be focused a little further to the north. So we're going to go through Sunday night. Actually, let's just go to Monday morning right here. This is the potential for some areas to maybe have over 2 to 3 inches of rain. Notice, though, the general consensus is still about an inch or less for most of us, with the higher amounts off to the north for sure. Then as we keep going through, looks like the higher amounts will probably last further off to the north. So for the Upper Peninsula, our beautiful state of Michigan here, get some April showers coming your way. Let's just scroll through all the potential chances here. And the UP could get absolutely soaked. So by the time all is said and done, Wednesday of next week, a whole week from today, some areas could be in the 2 to 3 inch range across the Upper Peninsula, the Straits of Mackinac, and again, significantly less further down to the south. Okay, I can tell this is Spanish and I can make out some words, but I'm not fluent in Spanish. I do apologize, but thank you for your comment. Thanks, Kalina. Thanks for saying hi and good luck in Kansas the next couple of days. All right, so it's a little after 6. Hopefully that kind of clues everyone in onto the weather we're expecting, or you know, stuff like that. We got the freeze warning in effect for tonight across the lower part of the state of Michigan. The only reason it's not up north is because the growing season hasn't started up there yet. But anywhere along and south of M20 and US 10 in the state of Michigan is under a freeze warning. Down into Ohio, parts of Wisconsin as well. And then we have multiple days of severe weather possible, depending on where you're watching me from. And I am going to be traveling a little bit the next couple of days. I got some friends and family to see before some people peace out for the summer. So I will do some live still because I can take this awesome digital setup with me. So I might be coming to you from a different location. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. I appreciate it. There's sound today. That is good. Hopefully everyone was okay after the tornado warning that was south of Grand Rapids last night. Haven't seen many confirmed reports of severe weather other than a couple reports of hail and a little bit of gusty wind. So all right. Feel free to comment and send me messages on my Facebook page. You can send me messages on TikTok as well. I get a lot of spam, but I will try to sift through the spam so I can answer you. But anyway, yeah, thanks for all your support. Again, all the storm chasers are going to be going wild, and I have talked to several of them in Facebook land and TikTok land, and I will be sharing their footage, giving them some support as well. So feel free to follow them. Another great follow is Michigan Storm Chasers. They're like really on top of it and they get tons of footage sent into them. So really cool spot to check out some video. If you've learned anything from me yet, I am all about your safety. Please follow me, but by all means, whoever is giving out information that you need, follow them too. Watch everybody. There's not a one size fits all meteorologist. So by all means, just follow all of us and we're all in this together, right? So we'll keep you up to date as it gets a little bit closer. And again, don't plan anything just yet because there is that freeze warning tonight. Come on, end. All right. TikTok has ended. I wish it would give me the ability to end TikTok with everybody else, but it's not how it works. All right.